Hello, this is Bill Webb, aka Billy Indiana. Today I'm doing a review for Magical Unicorn Quest by Andrew Kuplic and produced by Flame Point Games. Now, this is a 2019 release and it's for ages 8 and up and 2 to 6 players. It's a card game, and I was given this copy as a review copy so that I could tell you about the game and also point you to their new upcoming Kickstarter coming out April 15th. That new Kickstarter will be releasing a improved game of this and also the Ultimate Quest with some expansions and other features. But let me tell you about how you play this Magical Unicorn Quest and what I think about it. As I said, Magical Unicorn Quest is a card game, and in the 2019 version, these are the kinds of cards that come in the box. I will mention that with the new Kickstarter coming out April 2021, this basically serves as a prototype for that because the cards will be different. There will be new cards added, expansions to the game, new artwork, all kinds of great features that will expand this original game. But you can get a feel for the game and look at what the art is like in this original version. These cards with the white backs are reference cards to tell you how to play your turn. And basically you will draw a card from the forest, which is just the pile of cards that's in the middle of the table. And then you have a chance to play one card that's a potion card from your hand, one card that's a being card from your hand, and then if anyone else decides to play an action during your turn, you could also play one of the magic cards, which is basically a reaction card. So the goal of the game is to get a golden unicorn and a magical unicorn into your stable, which is the playing area in front of you. When you play a potion card, you would just put it in the discard pile. When you play a being card, you would put it in the stable. And those unicorns are some of the beings you'll see in this game. So let me show you what some of the cards look like in this original version. Let's take a look at the potion cards. These would be the first cards you would play in your turn. The poisonous mushrooms allow you to discard any mystical being from any stable. So you could discard a being from your stable you don't want, or one from another person's stable that you don't want them to have. The pixie dust card allows you to add any card from the discard pile to your hand, which is a nice advantage if you know there's something in the discard pile that you want to use. There's the rainbows and glitter card, which allows you to name a card, and then all the other players have to give you every copy of that card, kind of like a Monopoly card from Catan. There's the unicorn food card. I love the art and the theme in this, just how whimsical it is. And the first person to play is the person who last ate cotton candy in the original version. I think in the upgraded, it's just the last person that ate candy, since cotton candy is pretty rare. But this one anyway, the unicorn food card allows you to move a mystical being from one player's stable to another. So you could put a bad being from yours into someone else's, or you could steal a unicorn from theirs, as the goal is to get the golden unicorn and the majestic unicorn, one of each, into your stable. And that's when you win the game, is as soon as someone does that. Let's take a look at some of the other cards. Let's talk next about the mystical magic cards. These are reaction cards, and the halt card allows you to halt the action of a card that another player plays from their hand. And the unicorn thief card allows you to block someone from putting a unicorn in their stable and allowing you to put it into your stable instead. So someone could play the unicorn thief to try to steal a unicorn as it's being placed in a stable, and the person placing it could play the halt to stop that action. And then all of those potion cards, the poisonous mushrooms and unicorn food, all of those could also be halted by this. So those are the two magic cards. You can play as many of these as you need per turn. So if you have multiple halt cards or multiple unicorn thief cards, you can play as many of those as you want during your turn. And finally, these are the mystical beings that would be in the game. There are dwarves and elves, which are mostly beneficial. If you have one of each, they have a certain function or ability. So for instance, the dwarves, if you have one dwarf in your stable, then you can add an extra being to your stable during your turn, when normally you can only play one. If you have 3 or more dwarves in your stable, then you can actually add as many mystical beings as you want in your turn. And since you're trying to get a majestic unicorn and a golden unicorn into your stable simultaneously, if you could add them both in one turn together, it's a little bit harder for others to stop you from doing it. For the elves, if you have one of them, you can draw a card from the forest deck. If you have 3 or more elves, you can actually hunt through the forest deck, find a magical unicorn, and add it to your hand. The werewolf and ogre cards with the red backgrounds are a little bit more beneficial if you have multiple cards, but kind of harmful if you only have one. So the werewolf, if you only have one, that means you have to discard a non-werewolf mystical being from your stable. But if you have 2 or more, then you can discard any mystical being from your stable. Same with the ogres. If you only have one, then you have to discard 2 cards at random from your hand. But if you have 2 or more, you can cause someone else to discard 2 cards at random from their hands. So if you're going to have werewolves and ogres in your stable, you want to have multiples of them. And then the majestic unicorn and the golden unicorn don't have any special function or special ability during the game, but the goal obviously is to get one of each into your stable, and as soon as someone can do that, they win the game. So that is my overview of how you play Magical Unicorn Quest. In review, we found it to be a really fun game. It is a lot of take that, so if you're not into that kind of game, you may want to avoid this one, but otherwise we found it to be one where it was a lot of laughs, it was a quick game, so even if you did feel like someone really went after you in a particular game, you could get after them the next game. Sometimes someone would sneak out a win really quickly. Other times the game would take a few turns and you could see several people failing when they just thought for sure they were going to win on that turn. So we found it to be a very entertaining game and really enjoyed it. I hope that you will look into that Kickstarter coming up April 15th and see if it might be a game for you. As always, thanks for watching. This is Billy, Indiana, signing off.